So as somebody who is a literal African American, meaning I was born on the continent of Africa and I became a United States citizen throughout my life, or at least moved when I was a kid and was naturalized into an American citizenship. I think I have quite a unique perspective as far as how do black people outside of America see black Americans. Now, some people out there have heard this conversation had time and time again, and you have like one perspective on it, which is everybody else sees black Americans as lazy, as unproductive, as victim-minded, and as really not doing anything. But I don't think that's actually genuine. I think there are two sides to the story, or two perspectives, and it's possible to hold two perspectives at the same time, right? Though sometimes it may cause a little bit of cognitive dissonance, it is a possibility. So on one side, we have the one I just mentioned, right? Oh, they're lazy. They're not working for anything. They feel like victims. They're entitled. They're, on the food stamps and the EBT and the EDD and the SNOOP, Digo double G. And then the other side, which is oftentimes not talked about, is actually the admiration because of the aspirational aspects, right? We see the glitz, the glamour, the so-called stars, and we think to ourselves, man, that is incredible. This is what could happen for you as a quote unquote black American. And that's the opportunity that we see. Now, this has got to be said because we're not here to mince words. We're not here to sugarcoat a damn thing. Both of those are valid and both of those are rooted in a reality. I'm not saying it's the whole picture because we have plenty of examples that show us the opposite. But the reason why on one side we can, aspire is because they're aspirational figures. They're individuals who have made out of themselves what is almost impossible in most African countries because of how the governments are set up and things of that nature, and the mentalities, of course. But majoritively, it is the perception that many black folks seem to keep themselves perpetually stuck in a country that has afforded every other group of people so many opportunities, including black Americans. There's a confusion as far as why not take advantage of that opportunity. And I think sometimes it is easier to do so or to have that mentality when you come from, the outside, or when you're outside looking in. It's like, if I've been raised in a cell, in a cage my entire life, and I was looking outside of that cage and seeing how other people were living outside of the cage, every single day, the thought in my head would be the things that I would do if I was just no longer in this cage. Oh, how I would seize the opportunities, how I would go out there and make something for myself. And that's the mentality that most black folks from outside of America have when they're looking to make their way in. More specifically, those on the continent in Africa or those on the islands, Jamaica, Barbados, and things of that nature, right? If I just had an opportunity to go there, it's like, Hispanic folks or the Mexicans specifically. My old barber from my old town, it's a hard thing to say, my old barber, right? Barber loyalty is a very real thing, but it's because I moved to a very, very distant land. But anyway, my old barber was having this conversation about how he has a cousin from Mexico who came from Mexico not too long ago, and he's the wealthiest in the family now. The other younger kids, the cousins, etc., they've all lived in the United States predominantly their entire lives, if not their entire lives. And a few of the cousins moved recently. And, some of them doing well, but this guy is like really, really, he's doing the damn thing. Became a millionaire, through his work acumen, his work ethic, and, willingness to go out there and go get it. And my barber is explaining how there's a lot of jealousy that's pointed towards his cousin. There's a lot of animosity pointed towards his cousin for that reason, which is deeply ironic because imagine being the person who was there the entire time, able to seize the opportunities, but then the person who just got there takes those opportunities. And that's where a lot of resentment comes from. I'm now labeled a tether. It's like a new word that's been flying around to try to discredit the opinions of those who are not necessarily having their lineage in America who happen to be quote unquote black. Right? It's like the FBAs versus the tethers. If you're not an FBA, foundational black American, you're now a tether. And again, it's used to shame and to discredit And frankly, I don't give a damn. I've been called the word a million times over. I'll be called the word a million times over again, but I still don't care. Because the reality is this: we see what we see, which is you are here in America, in the very same place that most people on the planet want to be, especially for advancing themselves economically. And yet you're doing nothing with it. And we can point to a multitude of groups who have had their own fair share of adversities. They have had their own fair share of traumas. We can point to almost every single demographic on this planet if we really want to look at that, right? But separating that and just looking at the people of today. And again, I'm talking about what the Japanese and the internment camps in California went through. I'm talking about as far as what the generation right after the Holocaust went through, and they're still able to create what they create out of themselves. The Nigerian the Nigerian Americans or the Ethiopian Americans, etc. Now, I know that there are, mothers and fathers who are sweeping floors and driving cabs or whatever, but they do so in order to advance the next generation. And that oftentimes happens. They follow through on those plans and their kids go out and they become relatively successful. Even if you never hear of them, they're making real money. They're creating wealth. And that comes from learning, understanding. Like, imagine coming and you didn't even speak the language, and now you are prospering more than those who have been here for so long. And there are those who feel disenfranchised in every group or ethnicity of people. But, it is unfortunate that is the case. And when I talk about this, I don't look at it to say, man, are you stupid? Like, why wouldn't you? It's like, man, don't you understand what you have? Especially when I hear this, anti-America rhetoric from black folks who are quote unquote FBA, Foundational Black American. Why is it that you hate the very same place that you're not willing to leave? You complain about, being held back, but you never leave. You see others prospering and you essentially look to tear them down as opposed to just taking advantage of the opportunities presented to you. So, in the midst of this conversation, I want to share just a short clip that I think is going to give, some of the same insights as far as this conversation goes. I know this is real deep into the video. Most, videos is like in the first 30 seconds or it starts off with the reaction, but I do it my way on some Frank Sinatra type ish.
I'm not going to speak for my whole country. Love Jamaica. But I think quite a few Jamaicans think that you guys play the victim a lot. Like an outsider looking in, it's like, gosh, them complain about everything. Look how much opportunity them have. Look how them can work. Look how them can buy $1 burger. And them over there complain. And that is how I was preconditioned, if I'm being totally honest. They're like, Shantae, don't go over there and waste the opportunity. Don't go over there and start
I'm sorry, that's the exact mentality we left with. Everybody looked at us like we had been saved. You understand me? Please go over there and do something and make something of yourselves. And if you've been tracking me for a while, you see that, I put in the necessary work in what I do. Some people want to discredit it, like they do with most people's success, whether they are tether babies or not. They like to discredit. They like to say, well, but you got lucky. Oh, you're industry plant. Oh, you're Illuminati. All this sort of nonsense, just because they can accept that they weren't willing to do what you did. They weren't willing to invest in themselves. They weren't willing to give up and to sacrifice every single day to make their dream a reality. I showed up every day when nobody was showing up. I show up every day when there is nobody showing up or somebody showing up. It doesn't matter. I still will show up because this is what I'm here to do. This is my purpose. I will make it happen. I recently got my TikTok. I'm still waiting on a response. They just took my whole thing down without a single word, without a single reasoning for it. Oh, you're suspended. Okay. More than 1,000 videos on that damn platform. 4 to 5 videos every single day, millions of views a month, 370,000 followers in the span of 5-6 months. But I say to myself, okay, rebuild or don't use it. There's no time to wallow and complain and, oh, woe is me. And no, like the mentality is different. You don't have that time to waste. We already spent enough time doing, no. It's like that should be the mentality. Like, We got off the plantation. We got off, you understand? We got out of Jim Crow. Like, let's make this happen. Let's get to it. Let's get all the way to it. We have the opportunity of a lifetime right now. Our ancestors fought so we can really make it happen. And some of them were already making it happen. That spirit of giving up and not believing in one's own self is heartbreaking. That's what's at the core of it.
And work for your own, focus on that. So that's always been my mindset. We're so focused on just making it. I really want to emphasize that. But sometimes when you just are focused on, oh, you're going to eat, you're not think say somebody a touch you. You're not think say, oh, I'm not have the right temperature. I'm hungry. What y'all gonna do?
It is our job, or it's everybody's job, to be able to grow up and be able to see through other lenses and other perspectives without having to live that experience.
I know, get it. I'm not gonna
So again, I don't know what the full context was, but she said, she was programmed to believe that, etc. And there's in part, yes, there is the conditioning of what you're told, but there's majoritively what you see and what validates your experiences, right? Especially if you get the opportunity to make it over here and you have the opportunity to be invited into the United States. It is a privilege. I love this country. Call me a sellout or whatever the hell you want for that, but I do. And if you don't, I would suggest getting the hell out. I would. And I'm not saying that to try to be some type of way. I mean it. Get out, experience the world, and see how that goes for you. Maybe you'll love it, and then you'll find your own true home, right? But until that happens, I don't believe you. I just believe you're making excuses. I believe you're playing the victim. That's why that trope exists. That's why there is that, that overarching conversation. That's why that point is made time and time again. And I feel there's a deep insecurity. That's why, it's like shut down. You tethers. You don't know. You never had our experiences. Again, I get that. But everybody has gone through some shit. You over there looking at the white man, begging him at the same time as insulting him for something. How does that work? I saw a video recently and somebody was like, oh yeah, Harlem used to be black. And then it said, or they had a whole bunch of black folk in Harlem and they said, yeah, it actually used to be black or something like that. And then somebody comments on it saying, well, nothing but a bunch of tether babies, generation 1, generation 2, boule, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, they say funded by white people's dollar. Why not give credit where credit is due? Why are you so damn jealous? Why are you so insecure? Why not just make things happen for yourself? If you don't believe you can, then you need to work on the mentality aspect. You need to work on your mindset. I'm being so serious. I'm not even trying to be funny with you right now. You need to work on your belief system because obviously the generational curse that is running right now is one of belief. You believe that you can't do it. You believe that you don't have what is necessary. So you project it outward instead of facing the reality that it is actually you. It is you believing that about yourself. When you got to tear somebody else down, when you got to bring somebody else, diminish somebody else's success. Like, I may talk a lot of shit on this channel. Excuse my French. I know my parents be watching sometimes, but I know I may talk a lot of smack on here, but I will never diminish your success. Unless you genuinely were a scumbag and, you really finesse whatever. If you just built your way, that's why like a Jay-Z or whatever, Beyonce, I'm like, look, they worked their asses off. They did what was necessary. They tapped into their gifts. They tapped into what they are best at and they capitalized on that. I'm never going to take away from that. I may not like certain things that they do or, whatever they produce or whatever it may be. But when it's all said and done, I'm never going to take away from what they created for themselves because I know how hard it is to be a creator. I know how hard it is to build something from scratch. Oh, man, you got the cosign, man. You got handout. Look, nobody gives a damn unless somebody gives a damn. Let me explain. If I have a product, I'm only going to get a customer if I'm able to get a customer. I'm only going to get you as a customer if I'm already able to get somebody else as a customer, which means I have to work towards customer number 1 to then get to customer number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 5. People have to start believing in the product that I'm selling. I have a restaurant per se. Let's just make this an example, right? I have a restaurant. I got to sell number 1 to get the second customer into my door. And then the third, and maybe it will start to scale, but I still need to get number 1 through the door. Maybe number 1 is a person who co-signs it and then it goes viral, but I still needed to do something. I'm not jealous of somebody who it took 5 videos for them to go viral. I'm not mad because it took me, 1,500. I'm at 1,700 videos on YouTube at around 81K subs. Shout out to every single person subbing. I go in. Y'all get 3 videos a day, your morning show, your afternoon, and your evening show. But this is what I love to do. I'm passionate about. But there are times I show up and again, it's work. It is work. Don't ever get that twisted. But I got to do what is necessary to get to where I want to get to. So maybe for me, it's going to be more. It's like losing weight. Oh, but it's so easy. She could eat this and that. Guess what? That's her. That's him. What do you need to do to get to where you want to get to? These are the conversations that are going to be most productive. Black folk don't need more Al Sharptons. They don't need more D.L. Hugleys. They don't need more Mark Lamont Hill. They don't need none of that. They need motivational speakers. They need more Eric Thomases in their life. They don't need somebody who's going to continuously tell you all the reasons why you have been downtrodden, why you can, and what the white man did, and all the systems of oppression and all that nonsense. Redlining. No, what you need to hear is that it's your opportunity to build something. Whatever that may be, it's your opportunity. That's why I show love to the youngsters who are doing the streaming stuff. The Kai Cenats and the DDGs and all these guys. I may not like all the stuff that they promote, and I will call that out. I will call the degeneracy in the behavior, but I'm not going to knock the fact that they hustled. I may not like Future and what he's pumping into the community, but I can at least look at the foundation of his hustle. And I say, okay, if I want to compete for the minds of the youth, if I want to compete for market share, to say, I want these ideas to be the ones that are perpetuated, then I have to work at the same rate. I have to figure out how to get my product in front of people. I have to figure out how to market. I have to figure out how to get out there instead of making excuses. Man, if only slavery never happened, if only Jim Crow never happened, if only my great granddaddy wasn't on that plantation, I'll be somewhere else. If only the white man wasn't so. If you really believe that shit, you would not be here. I promise you. People who desire to leave and believe that they're in an environment that is not conducive to their highest good and they're desperate, they will leave. People get on those banana boats every single day trying to make it into America. They swim underwater. People lose their lives every single day trying to get to America. And you're talking about, oh, I hate it here. It's the worst here, when you can buy a one-way ticket and get the hell out. So yes, the quote unquote tethers majoritively do have a perception of quote unquote FBAs in general. We can be inspired by the ones who are inspiring, but majoritively we look at it and say, why not take advantage of what you have? It's really that simple. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.